Alright, I'm going to show you how to coil. First step, we need a base to coil onto. So you take a section of clay that has been kneaded out, got one here, and just be rolling out a good base. We do want the base to be a good centimetre thick, I would say, just so that you've got a sturdy base to build on. Once you've rolled it out, again turning it over as you go, just so that you're actually rolling both sides of the clay. I'm going to start with a little circle base in my coil pot, so trace anything you like. In this case, it's masking tape. I love coil pots because they're the best to recycle clay, or at least they're the most thrifty. But for you guys, I will just show you how to take a fresh coil. So then take a section of clay. I've just been cutting strips off mine so that it's a bit easier. Trick of rolling a good coil is to find a consistency that isn't too dry, but it's not too slippery and gooey at the same time. If your coils are bumping off the table as you roll them, it's because your clay is too dry. So kind of working with the clay nice and quick. Wonderful. So a good thickness for the coil, obviously you're going to lose about half of the thickness of the coil in your wall once you've blended it. So I like to make it about, double the thickness of the wall I'm after. Most important part of the coil is to make sure you're blended between each coil so that doesn't fall apart, but also you don't have any little pockets of air. So to do this, we score, slip, and then blend really well. Scoring the base and the coil, like so, and then putting some slip on there, as we always do when we join anything in hand building. You don't need an excessive amount, and as well, because you're going to be using a lot of slip, if you're going too crazy with it, you end up with a really wet piece. And it's just so hard to blend it correctly afterwards if it's too squishy. Wonderful. So placing your coil on top of where you have scored your base. I like to have it hanging over the base just slightly so that it's easy to blend. The straight edge of the kidney tool is great for blending the outside. You're most welcome to use any tool you like, really. I find people use tools in very interesting abstract ways, so you do what suits you, but you really want to be moving that clay into the seam of the coil in the base so that you've got a good strong wall. If you're going side to side when you're blending, you're probably not moving the clay where it needs to be in the beginning. So once you have moved it where it needs to be, then you can go in and make it look all aesthetic and beautiful. For the inside, I would take a tool or even your thumb and just be pushing that coil down onto the base so that it is blended really well. Even if you want to keep some of those coils showing, go ahead and do the base first. Otherwise you'll find it's really tricky to get in there with your tool. Wonderful. The main criticism of the coil pot, I would say, is that people get frustrated and they begin pinching because it doesn't look right yet, and we just start grabbing at it. The thinner you pinch it, the harder it is to work with it. So pick up a tool, take a deep breath. So if I wanted to make my next coil a little bit further on the outside, I would give myself the foundation for that. So kind of squishing the clay down at an angle. This clay is super wet. So that it's just easier to build. And then obviously scoring so that my next coil would sit a little bit further on the outside, and that's just going to make it easier for me to grow the volume well. And then of course I would go and blend that really well. And scoring and slipping in between each coil. The coils are great for control, so you really can place them really quite far on the edge there and be growing it out really quick, which is lovely.